You are listening to the Level Up Your Gaming podcast, episode 13, quarantine episode. As most of our listeners are probably experiencing some form of quarantine or stay at home, we thought we should focus this episode on online gaming. We focus on the tools that you'll need and challenges you'll face while you're doing your game completely remote online. We also give applications of this remote gaming for when you have just one co-located user in the future. We want to make sure that our listeners are safe during this time. We'll do our best to keep bringing you content week by week. If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you like the show, please subscribe, leave us a review, or tell a friend. Now sit back and enjoy the episode. Welcome into the Level Up Your Gaming podcast. My name's Aaron, and across from me in Georgia, well, actually not across from me, but on Skype, joining me from Georgia, partially in quarantine, is Jared. How you doing,
Partially.
Jared?
I'm not in quarantine at all. Georgia doesn't know the meaning of quarantine.
No, you're just stuck in a hotel, which is so weird given the whole situation.
Yeah, it's definitely different. The hotel doesn't serve any food. That was one of the main reasons I came to this hotel, because I'm like, oh, they serve breakfast. Yeah, they don't. Not anymore. They're running out of toilet paper. They're stealing it from rooms that aren't in use. It's great.
Well, it's fortunate that you're one of two people staying there.
Actually, a small party checked in last night when I came in after my shift at because I'm working training a night shift. So I came in at 2 a.m. and there's a whole gaggle of people checking in. And I'm like, have you all lost your minds? Guys, there's a national emergency. Go home.
And then, be with your loved ones.
Be with your loved ones. I can. So, but yeah. So what's today's topic? I think it's going to be the quarantine episode.
Today's the quarantine episode, and as is noted with the quarantine episode, as a lot of people are probably experiencing quarantine around the world, we're actually talking about doing role-playing games online. Something that we've actually been doing for a while now with Brian, because he lives in a different part of the country, and we actually bring him into our online sessions or into our game sessions, and so we've got a pretty decent experience with setting up an online game and kind of going working through the kinks of it. So Jared, I'll let you get us started. What do you think is where do you think we got to start when we're setting up an online game?
So online games are great to set up advantages. Why you might want to even have an online game set up or utilize an online system, even if you are just doing tabletop. Friends are with you in the room. Why do I need online? Friends who can't make it one night. Maybe a couple of your friends have kids. They need to be at home. Their wife wants them at home. Their girlfriend might want them at home, so they can't be out every Saturday. Having that option to be remote one week and not having to fuss and fight over the system or scramble to develop a solution is a great option to have. So kind of already having this in your pocket in the event of quarantine is also another, reason.
It would be practical right now because, we are in quarantine, but obviously, a lot of us are stuck to stay-at-home orders. But if you aren't already set up in needing to have quarantine, it's very useful in case you have a co-located user or like Jared said, if your wife doesn't want you going out every weekend, you've got a newborn at home, something like that. I mean, you can still then engage with your gaming group if you have this thing set up. So a lot of people are probably going to set this up out of necessity for the quarantine, but it's just useful to have in general going forward.
Yep. And so some of you use other advantages to having this is if you have a large television screen wherever you're gaming, or you're using one of the new digital tabletops. I've seen them on Pinterest. I've seen them on YouTube. These are some of the coolest advances you can bring to your group. You can use the online system to digitize all your information and bring it to the group. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was video. Fortunately, Aaron and I, with Brian and Ken, have experienced at least three different forms of video chat. The first one was Skype. We utilize Skype pretty frequently. I will say Skype, decent sound, not great video. We had to restart and stop that video pretty often.
Yeah, it said the video died quite a few times while we were doing Skype. We'd also run into problems with our connection in Skype getting really weak. I mean, it's pretty bare bones. Everybody has Skype. I mean, pretty much every Windows computer is going to have Skype attached to it, and the accounts are free, so that's just a plus for having it. But in terms of quality, it wasn't living up to the promise, I should say.
No, it really wasn't. So Skype was one method we used. Roll20, who is the primary resource that we use. Roll20 has its own built-in video and audio system. I think we've only used it once because mainly we use Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts has been working out very effectively. The video does not drop as much as Skype. It does drop. The audio does not drop as much as Skype, but it does drop. Essentially, with any video system, you're going to have droppages. And I guess my advice is with any video or audio drop, don't continue on and simply say, we'll catch him up when he gets back online. It really takes that player out of the moment. It makes them feel separated. It's all or nothing. We're the Four Musketeers, the Three Musketeers, the 8 Musketeers. You don't leave a man behind. So when that video stops, you stop. That's my word of advice with video, because it makes that player feel very disconnected.
Yeah, so what you are going to find is, depending on how you are set up, we actually set up Brian in the room, and we're all there, and Brian's the one who's co-located. We have a single mic that is designed to pick up for the entire room. And so, the mic, I'm kind of melding us into the audio realm here as well. But
yeah, I was about to say, Aaron, I was sticking on video, and there you go, just going off topic.
But you'll notice that he freezes, or that they'll say something and they'll freeze in the video. And Jared's right, you really want to stop right there, because you don't know what they're picking up out of the context. And let's say you're having a dialogue-driven scene at that moment, you can't lose the players and just be like, oh, it'll just work out, especially if everyone's co-located at the time when you're doing it. So Jared's right, you really got to stop and make sure everyone gets caught up to things. We have had better success with Google Hangouts, I think, than Skype overall, but any free VoIP is going to have kind of a little bit of an issue going on with it. There are some paid options if you do want to go that route. I don't know how fancy schmancy pantsy you want to get with your your gaming group, but you could do something like a WebEx, or you could do Global Connect, Zoom. Those are a lot of like paid versions of a room that's that has a much better audio video connection. They're designed around that for businesses, so you can do that.
For video, one of the things that you might notice, let's say that you've got 4 players that are at your location and 1 player who's remote. One of the things that we have done, we set up 2 cameras so he can see the entire room. I've researched a lot of fisheye lenses. They're a little bit more expensive, but not too bad if you do have that extra income and can make that a possibility for your player. You want to look at that. Because the fisheye lens allows you to have that 80-degree view. And then you also have the just 2 cameras. And we use a program called ManyCam, which allows us to bring the 2 cameras onto one screen. So when Brian is viewing us, he can see both me as the storyteller whenever I'm storytelling, or let's be honest, it's me in my recliner, and the rest of you guys on the couch.
Yeah, a single camera, the best we got was like a 70-degree angle on the video camera. So that gets about half the room, and then you incorporate the mini cam to get the other half of the room. So I mean that was why we chose the mini cam, was because we were able to incorporate the two cameras, and it looks like a picture-in-picture kind of thing. When you're wondering how it looks, especially if you're using the free version. There is a paid version of it, which we did end up buying. I think it's a one-time purchase for like $20, and that lets you choose where the picture in picture goes, or you can set it like half and half, things like that.
And it's worked out great for us for many years. I mean, honestly, that program is fantastic. And we just bought, two webcams. But, now that I'm thinking about it, as we are, all reasonable adults with decent paychecks, perhaps we should invest it in just one. I don't know. But
how dare you suggest these things?
damn me for speaking out of pocket. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was storytelling implications. So what is it like to storytell remote? I think we've mentioned this before. If you have a remote player, make sure that you're looking at the camera when you have that remote player. Speak to them. Make sure that they are part of the conversation, that they're getting a word in as edgewise. It's your responsibility as a storyteller to make sure that everyone is participating and bringing them in. Voices is great. Being able to do different voices, do your ogre voice or your gremlin voice or goblin, is fantastic. Modulating your voice is fantastic for that player who's remote, because it gives different people, different NPCs, different speaking styles, and they can differentiate between those speaking styles, as do your players in the room. So storytelling implications, again, I went over if it freezes, you need to stop. Online systems, generally, if you're doing it off the cuff, you're doing something wrong. I'm going to tell you right there. If you're one of those people who's like, I read in my notebook 30 minutes before the guys come over or the gals come over, that's not going to work out for online games. Online games, you need to put in that time and that effort. It is undeniable when you don't put in the time. Trust me, your players will see through it. Like, for example, Roll20 gives you the capability of putting in avatars and tokens and pictures and descriptions and all sorts of great items. If you're not putting in the time, your players know it, because some of your people will have pictures, some of them don't. Some of them have tokens, some of them don't.
Again, go back to our episode on planning a game, and you can learn all about the time needed to invest into this. But a true online game, even a one shot, does need to have 30 minutes just to put a couple of assets on a map, or put a couple NPCs in the board, something like that. Again, we talk about the tool Roll20, and that's what we've used for a couple of years here, and that works out really great for us. But that 30 minutes makes the night run a lot smoother. People will definitely know if you have it, even for like a one shot game. Like I said, the 30 minutes would change things dynamically overall.
And it's huge. It's huge. But with storytelling, you can't fly by the seat of your pants with an online system. It becomes very noticeable very quickly if you have not put in the time, if you have not put in the work. You disagree?
You could. I'm not going to say it's impossible to do it. It's just very hard, because maybe there are better online systems that we have not used that make it possible to do a one shot game, or do an easier one shot game. I'm sure you could just use a shared whiteboard and probably have an easier time running a one shot game. But with the system Roll20, it doesn't really lend itself to very easy use in a one shot game. If you have other tools, we kind of glossed over audio, which I want to kind of jump back to after this, but So in addition to the mics that you're using to get set up, obviously if everyone's on a computer, just use your computer mic, use a headset, whatever you've got. But if you're going to co-locate where you're going to broadcast the room of players, and then you've got a player or two who are in a different location, you're going to have to then set up a system, either a broad mic to broadcast to pick up everybody, and or you have to give everybody a mic. So one of them is obviously just not really feasible in terms of money. I remember when your brother was on, and he was like,
Oh God.
just lavalier everybody. Why haven't you just lavalier? Because I don't have a couple $1,000. I don't have a couple $1,000 to invest in that.
I left my checkbook in the other pants. Watch that one bounce. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so in addition to just kind of setting up the right mic to kind of speak with audio methods, another tool that I've heard for setting up and doing like online audio would be that if you're broadcasting video, say through like a tool like Roll20 or Skype or something, and the audio is just really not picking up for you guys, you could always try using something like Discord or a chat app like that. Brian suggested that we maybe take a look into that. It is better built for audio connections and speaking to people like who are in co-located areas. It's not really a video broadcast, but you can definitely get set up like a call or something, or have a chat for where the GM is kind of putting people in their place, and being able to describe things, because audio is really the big divider here. It's nice to have the video, but without audio, obviously you just can't run the game.
You got nothing because you can't talk.
But then you can also have like a different. So Roll20 does have an integrated application for sharing music, and so this is what one of the other tools here. What Jerry was saying, you have to get things set up ahead of time. Is in Roll20, it's really, really hard if you're a free user to move music between games, because every game has to have their own individual assets. Every game has to have their own music that gets brought in. So if you have another tool that can do music, that just helps enhance the online experience. And again, it helps bring in that kind of one-shot mode. So that's where I'm trying to say, like, I think you could probably do a one-shot. It's just you need to have a lot of other tools in place to kind of be set up to be able to do it.
Yeah, and it's very true. So kind of staying along the thread of like systems. So you got your video, your audio. The next one is kind of combined with video is lighting. God bless everyone. I've watched a few channels where they use online systems for their. I've watched a few YouTube sessions where they use Roll20 and record the screen or whatever have you. Being lit up entirely by your laptop monitor makes you look like you are dying, just a little bit. You've got like this glow and this pallor. It doesn't look great. Try flipping on a desk light. Make sure people can see you. Don't have also like right now I've got my window open because I need a little bit of sunlight.
You look like you're being touched by an angel, right?
See, and that's the thing with lighting, like it can put on the effect of an angelic glow. Or it can make you look like you are coming out of the shadows. Try to balance your lighting. It's not super important, but it is kind of nice when you have the light so people can actually see you. And then for your players, just encourage them to take that extra couple of minutes to, like, I don't know, put a desk lamp on, just so everyone can see your smiling face. Everyone wants to see your face. Let it be shown in the light. So
the lighting is very important. I mean, it goes a long way, so you can be able to see everybody in there, especially if you have a big room of people that you're sharing with a couple of players who are co-located. Making sure that everybody's illuminated and not sitting in like some like the corner of darkness. Like, who just said that? Like, I can't even see him. You know, you don't want to have that sort of thing, especially if you're using webcams and things like that. So,
Unless you do have somebody who's playing like the Dark Wizard and he wants to be in the darkness. I don't know. Thematically, that could work. Thematically, reach for the stars.
oh my god.
Why does he always talk out of the black? Because I do. You know, or they can put on the
This is
Batman.
Jeremy. He's a little weird.
A little weird, but we love him. So the lighting is a key factor. Just something to keep in mind. So let's see. Maps. This is where I'm actually going to refer to one of Aaron's old statements about maps. I love putting together maps. I've got Photoshop. I've got half a dozen architectural tools. I'm not an architect, believe it or not.
But Jared's just a little nuts.
I'm just a little fucking crazy. So I love putting together battle maps. I love putting together complicated battle maps. They can take hours. I have hundreds of assets. I go crazy over assets that like are missing. Notably, like, why hasn't anyone came up with a gaming asset for like a furnace? Like, furnaces are in every house. So are water heaters. Just make an asset for it. Somebody out there, please. I'm dying. You know, I'm building my own just for this, for a furnace, which is, again, I'm a little crazy. So there are a lot of tools out there for map making, especially with modern. It gets hard, and with sci-fi, it's actually easier than modern. Most people, if they're going to set up a game, they're going to set it up. So the majority of gamers, they do D&D, which if you can't find an asset for that, you're not looking hard.
If you can't find cobblestone, you're you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah, like cobblestone, small village. You type in small village battle map into Google, you will get like 8,000 results in less than a second. And these can be pulled and just dropped into your game very quickly. Even in sci-fi, there are a lot of assets out there. It might not be the exact genre you're looking for, like Star Wars sci-fi or Star Trek sci-fi, but they do have a good sci-fi in general out there. It's when you come down to modern. You type in hotel, you're going to get bit. You're not going to find a battle map for a hotel. Actually, there is one out there, and I love it. It's very cool. I used it in one game. Everyone was like, why is there a burnt hole in the wall? I'm like, I don't know. You should investigate. They never did. It was a meth lab. Exploded. So what you can do, though, for modern games is just look up blueprints or floor plans. There are a lot of floor plans out there.
Floor plans work great. That's my go-to.
Great. They're fantastic. You can drop them in. They're quick, they're accurate, and they are to scale. And then, of course, there's always going back to the old goodie of just hand drawing them. Hand drawing is really fantastic because you have complete freedom. And you also can encourage your players to imagine. It pushes you to say, like, the furnace is old and creaking, even though I would probably not describe the furnace. Unless my players were into that. You know, they're into that. Okay, cool. We'll go into the furnace. Let's journey down that path.
I mean, you kind of hit on a good point there with being able to draw your own maps and put them out there. This is kind of, if you want to go into the non-prepped game, it's the problem with online gaming and using a tool like Roll20 is that you can go overboard really quick with the number of assets and maps and things that you put on that game. And a lot of it might be stuff that you prep ahead of time that never gets used, which, you know, it's a lot of time wasted and lost in a game that you probably didn't need to do. At the same time, if you hand draw all your maps in Roll20, you're going to have a hell of a time. You're going to really hate your life. Because if you ever thought about mapping up rooms, boy, it sucks. I mean, it really sucks. Just, I mean, that's why architects have full-time jobs, and there are these beautiful architectural layouts. It's because, when you have to think about like, oh yeah, there's a bathroom, and this hallway can't be this way because it doesn't make sense with the flow of the house.
And I tell you this, though, I am pushing to all storytellers and players watching this. Look at any battle map before you slam it in, especially if you have like really good players that will be like, where's the bathroom in this map? Because it's forgotten. So many times, so many sci-fi battle maps, I'm like, where's the pooper? Where do these people...
Jared, this is space. We don't need to poop.
Yes, you do. On a starfighter, or a starfreighter that's built for 18 months at space at sea. 18 months at sea. Someone's got to poop. Someone's got to cook.
You just poop in the corner on the poop deck, and then use the molecular destabilizer to destroy the poop. Come on, Jared. This is the future.
I know, but so look at your battle maps before you toss them on there. Now, granted, if you use floor plans that were made by an architect, they will have a crapper. They'll have a wet wall in there. Where do the pipes for that one go? Boom, it's there. But if you're insanely meticulous like I am, yeah, go for it. Put the pooper in. Put the pooper in. Make sure it's got a furnace. Make sure they have closets. Closets are key. Who doesn't want a house without closet space?
I would be. In general, I would say if it's a special place or a special location, create the battle map, find something to represent the battle map, or draw it ahead of time. Again, this kind of goes into a little bit of prep work there. But if it's something that your players just stumble into, just go freehand the damn thing. I mean, you're gonna save yourself a lot of time.
Aaron will tell you. I will encourage you to go crazy.
That's because Jared's a little crazy himself.
Some people I build RPG battles. Everyone's got to have a hobby, right?
Everybody does.
Mine's storytelling and building maps, and thank God my wife loves me. Oh Jesus, honey, what are you doing? I'm building a hotel. Why don't you get a job as an architect? Because I don't have the education. So. Yeah, hand-drawn maps are fantastic. I'm not gonna diss it. I'm not gonna diss on hand-drawn maps.
You actually used more hand-drawn maps in the last game you did.
I did. Because I'm trying to move away from all the highfalutin shit. See, I gotta drop one swear word in every episode. Have you noticed that?
This is why our podcast is explicit. It's because Jared can't stop himself from swearing.
It is. Oh my God! Now I feel bad. Aaron goes entire podcast without saying he'll be Farface.
I swear too. I mean, I just kind of follow the lead of the drunken sailor on the other end.
Dude, I notice it. I'm just what the fuck? And I'm shit. Damn it. But I have moved into character pictures. I want to warn, because this is the quarantine episode. This one focuses entirely on your online systems, character pictures. I have to admit that finally, after years of using these online systems, I have surrendered. Mainly because of how we play the modern game. If you are doing Dungeons and Dragons, you are fine. Okay? There are hundreds of character images. Go to DeviantArt, ArtStation, Google, all of these things, Pinterest. All of these sites have hundreds. If you type in D&D character, or character concept, or orc character, you will find hundreds of pictures. Some of them, albeit weird and disturbing. Everyone needs love. That's all I'm saying. DeviantArt, great art on there, but a lot of people who love My Little Pony in a weird way.
Yeah, there are.
I think they're called bronies. Is that?
I don't know. Yes, Ken likes My Little Pony.
Does he?
Yes. You didn't know this?
I did not.
All right. Well, the more you know.
Now I'm going to ask him about it.
The rainbow went over Jared's head.
All Oh, Jordy LaForge, host of my Reading Rainbow. So one of the things that I will say about character art, if you do sci-fi, just generalized sci-fi, a lot of stuff out there. Like if you're doing, I don't know, a Shadowrun campaign, it gets a little bit smaller because you need an orc with a cybernetic eye.
It's hard to do things where you need images of stuff that doesn't exist within the context of the system. Obviously, with D&D, it's been around for a long time, and somebody created the monster manual. Okay, and the monster manual, you can find images of the monsters because people draw the monsters. Same thing with sci-fi and Star Wars. There are creatures. It's a built universe.
I will caution you about the Star Wars because it starts off easy, but as your Star Wars universe grows, you will find it more difficult to find a Trandoshan Jedi. It gets taxing. Here's my thing. I have been caught up, and I will literally scan the internet for hours looking for these images, and have finally come to a point in my life where I said, wow, I spent 4 hours looking for an orc with a cybernetic eye. I could have spent 4 hours on my story and 20 seconds describing him in a blurb. Don't fall down that trap. Don't fall down that hole. It's a cool thing, but if you're finding that it's eating up your time away from the critical elements of your story, maps, story, music. Are those 3 points covered? Awesome. If you've got the story is number 1, your maps are number 2, your music is number 3. If you've got these 3 points covered and you've still got months because one of your friends is storytelling, yeah, go ahead. Start searching for images. Don't put in a single one until you got them all. Because then you'll run into this one had an image. Why doesn't this one? Well, screw you guys, because I couldn't find an orc with a cybernetic eye. But me, I'm a perfectionist. And even though I encourage people to take the art of storytelling to level up that gaming as high as you can, please don't fall into my pitfalls, my traps. The level I go to is borderline unhealthy.
But God, that's why you love it. This is your hobby, and you love the heck out of it.
It is bringing that joy to my friends is just huge for me. It's my wins. I work hard, I play hard, and I love hard. That was a little weird. I'm sorry.
That was a little weird. But yeah, no, it's really about getting your systems in place beforehand. Just making sure that this is how I'm going to deliver the video experience, the audio experience, my music, how I'm going to share my assets so you have your online role-playing tool. Whether or not that is something like you're going to need something like a shared whiteboard. There are free shared whiteboards out there. Roll20 is a pretty good tool. I'm sure there are other tools like Roll20. If you know other ones, please, send us them. I'm happy to
look into them, but I don't remember the names.
It's been a while because Roll20 became, when we first started Roll20, it was a pet project for someone, and it became a company. So it's actually now like a mainstream revenue model for that group that does Roll20. And it is a little, what?
I love it when you go all business. It's become a revenue model. It's down this category.
It is. So like I said, you can maybe you're a really talented individual, you can do coding, you can create your own thing that works better for your own needs. Not going to dissuade you from doing that, but obviously if there are tools out there, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So but make sure that you're able to deliver all the assets to be able to effectively tell your story, because players are going to need to be able to visually see where they are going on a map at some point. Those are the things that are hard to replicate in a online environment. And I would really advise you don't need it, but the shared music thing, if you go back to music and atmosphere, music helps a ton. Even in an online game, it just really, really helps set the mood for everything that's going on there, especially when you can't quite convey tone in your language. Because when people are online, they're disconnected. It doesn't feel as real when you're in a meeting, like face to face with someone. But yeah, that's really all I got on that, Jared. You got anything else to add to this?
Honestly, the only thing I've got to add is I hope everyone's staying safe out there. I hope everyone's families and friends are okay. They're crazy times, but just remember the world will keep turning. We're still going to see tomorrow. So I just don't want everyone to stay positive during these times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep, it's hard sometimes, but things are going to get better. So, be that encouragement to your friends and family that things are going to get better, and stop hoarding toilet paper.
Oh, for the love of God, please stop hoarding toilet paper. It will come back in stock. But yeah, no. Again, if you want to communicate with us, this might be a tough time. Level Up Your Gaming podcast at gmail.com. Share this with a friend. Share it with your gaming group. They're probably just bored out of their mind, not doing stuff. This is a good escape from what's kind of going on in the world right now. But we do hope you're safe. We do hope everyone's feeling good and doing good, and we'll hopefully be out of this before we know it. But for Jared, I'm Aaron. Have a good week, guys.
Have a good one.